I've been reviewing a few videos about how to change out the speakers on a Corolla 2003 to 2008. I've taken the door panel off here, and as you can see, this speaker has a surrounded plastic thing with 3 rivets. The typical thing is to drill the rivets out and buy a speaker replacement that Amazon will be delivering to me tomorrow. But I found that I can remove the speaker guts out of this thing and use it as a form-fitting thing that will fit well into the back side of the panel, which requires a fairly tight fit to make it look factory. Some people would want to have the speaker grill on the outside, but I say that's not tricky enough. Also, I'll be wiring up a JBL speaker up to this tweeter that's up here, replacing the factory tweeter with a match set. The speakers that I'll be using are these right here, the JBL 609C. Comes with a separate tweeter that I'll put up on the door and this crossover system that works out pretty well. Here's the right door that I finished installing already. I brought a speaker wire through from the inside through the wiring harness by popping this out down here. There's a little button down here you can undo. Pulled in there, did a little wire feed through there by pulling out these guys down here. Brought the whole contraption into here and then ran the wire through. This separate tweeter kit comes with multiple different install brackets and such. This one rotates, but I'm going to use the simplest one, which is there. This nest and bayonet mounts into it, and it's about the same profile as the factory tweeter, so it should fit into that enclosure snugly. So here's the expanded setup. This is an M3, I think 6mm link screw. Get a longer one because I'm not even hitting the 65-cent nylock portion of this nut. Let me show you how it gets together. So the flat head thing needs to sit flush or the speaker won't get into that little carrier too well. And then you bring the nut out the back after getting the speaker in place to attach it to the bracket. These contacts could short out on the brackets, so lay some tape to insulate those. Okay, a few minutes later, and here we are. There's the tweeter laid in there, a little tape there, and a little zip tie on the bracket just to be factory-like. And I've brought the connections down here. I've used these handy-dandy sealing, soldering, shrink wrap connectors that pretty much are great with a heat gun. And I'm going to slip this shrink wrap tubing over this connector to make it all nice and effective. Thinking you can hire me to do your stair install. I don't do that for a living. I'm an anesthesiologist, so attention to detail is part of what I do. So here it is all bolted up, ready to go. We have the speaker wire coming down through here. That'll come down into the door. We'll make that up in a little bit. The grill hole here to need a little bit of gasketing, which this kit comes with. Again, we're going to turn our attention to this speaker here. I'm going to cut the guts out of it, and it ends up that inside of that door panel I showed you earlier will mate up right against this area where the foam is, and indeed the JBL has foam that goes there. That little groove here is actually made by that thing, and what you want to do is you want to isolate this side of the speaker into the passenger compartment through the door panel, and then everything behind here can flow freely through all the holes and everything. And I filled this with silicone on the other side just because it's the closest hole. Makes sense to baffle it a little bit further away. Let's cut the speaker out and I'll show you what that looks like. You can pretty much go to town and just yank this thing out, cut the cone. I did more of a surgical dissection. You know, every anesthesiologist wants to be a surgeon. And as you can see, there's the speaker disassembled. These supports out here are actually plastic, so easy to cut. Here's the speaker hanging on for dear life. Just the leads are, and I'm going to yank those out here shortly. This is the tool I use to cut it. One of these, what do they call them? Oscillating multifunction tool. You don't have to buy one. You can just grab these with a big pair of tin snips or whatever and take them off. This gets them all the way to the side, but it doesn't have any interference with the JBL speaker body. And as you can see, the hole is cleared out. I've yanked out the contacts that came through here, and I'll drill that out so I can get two of those jacketed monster cables in there. When laying the JBL speaker against the door panel, you can see that the screw holes and everything are right at the level of this door plane. So laying the gasket on top of this installation will do the trick to seal it to this door very nicely. Just center it in the hole and it'll be centered in this hole. Easier than if you got the bracket. Getting it centered would be a pain. So here I am. It only took a second to get that through there. There's the wire through the bonnet, and I'm going to get this in position, run some more wire through here. So I'll put some silicone in here to seal this off. But it's all buttoned up here. I got the wiring behind the moisture barrier, and I got this upside down because the mounting screws are not centered to let it hang down further. I'll probably go back and change the other one around just because I'm compulsive. Bye.